Hi, everyone. I'm Elise Duggar, the Associate Director of the CCE, and welcome to the ZIG Closing Ceremonies.
I'm Tyler Dorr, Program Director for the CCE, and I cannot thank you all enough for a wonderful week.
And I'm Susan Moriarty, and I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Civic Engagement, and I want to welcome everyone to the first ever ZIG Closing Ceremony. It's hard to believe that it's been almost 5 months to the day that the YIG Capital Conference adjourned. Soon after that, schools were closed and the state shut down. Once we got over the initial shock, we started planning ZIG. Then we were furloughed for 4 months. Needless to say, we were eager to get back to work because regardless of the new normal, we knew that if any one group of people could do a virtual conference, it was our officers, our delegates, and our volunteers. Clearly, we miss being on Capitol Hill and seeing everyone in person. But what we learned from holding this conference is that YIG isn't a place, it's a thing. The energy and the passion is the same whether we are in the House chambers or sitting in our dens. And so first, I want to thank our officers. We know this isn't the YIG you planned, but we are so proud of you and thank you for helping us to make ZIG a success. Next, to our delegates. I can't begin to tell you how much we needed to listen to you debate and present this week. No doubt this has been the most difficult time for our nation, but after spending the week with you, we are certain that the future is in good hands. At this time, I would like to recognize our component leaders. Parliamentarian, Mackie Luffman. Court, Lindy Yang. Governor's Cabinet, Stella London. Lobbyists, Meredith Dunn. Press Corps, Allison Jennings. And I would like to thank all of our conference staff and our advisors for once again helping us make this possible. And a special thank you to Alicia Craighead from Lead Tennessee, who volunteered this week on the award ceremony. And now, closing speeches from your Tri-Star Governor, Claire Kim, and your volunteer governor, Mark Hancock.
Honorable and respectable senators, representatives, justices, distinguished lobbyists, and press corps, thank you all for this incredible week. Thank you all for going an extra mile and taking a time off of your summer break to log into our first virtual Youth in Government conference. As we come close to the end of the conference, it has truly been amazing to see what we have been able to accomplish. No matter how divided the world is outside of this program, we have all come together to build Tennessee that we can all be proud of. This week, not only have we created progress, but we also have improved Tennessee's today to strive for a better place for its citizens. This week, we have ensured that the Tennessee we live in enters a new revitalized state of constant progress, a state that represents our belief. This progress started with criminal justice reform. Our correctional system and its various flaws have been a pressing issue to my administration. On the forefront of my policies, my administration and I have strived to make foundational improvements towards bettering our criminal justice system and ensuring the equal treatment of all individuals who are in it. This is why I have endorsed White Senate Bill 20-1-9, which eliminates the restraint of pregnant incarcerated women during delivery and recovery. Additionally, nonviolent felons, especially those without former criminal history, will be placed in community corrections programs instead of the prison system. To account for this, my administration has allocated $4.5 million towards community corrections program. In doing so, we reduced the prison population and overcrowding in prisons, working towards ending mass incarceration in Tennessee. Another issue Tennessee faces is an underfunded education system that lags behind much of the nation. We believe that all children deserve the right to an education that prepares them for many challenges they will face beyond just their life as a student. And that is why the cabinet members and I have increased the budget of the Tennessee Department of Education by $700 million, directly funding our public schools to guarantee each student to succeed. Despite our utmost respect for the state's public university systems, we see room to improve. DACA recipients being excluded from in-state tuition to our public universities became our rising concern. and this is why we have endorsed White Senate Bill 20-3-2 to extend in-state tuition to DACA recipients with our hope that they wouldn't be treated differently from any other student in Tennessee. With the population of Tennessee cities continuing to grow, my administration has worked on accommodating the needs of the people for public transportation. Considering that Tennessee already has one of the most extensive highway systems in the country, we have decided to allocate half of the Highway Construction Fund, $500 million, to public transit. With this money, we will collaborate with local municipalities on comprehensive transit plans, create a media campaign to change the public's perception on mass transit, and hope for a better Tennessee. The safety and well-being of our children is also my administration's top priority. It is a disgrace that in Tennessee, it is legal for adoption agencies to discriminate against potential adoptive parents based on race, sexuality, and their religion. Once race, sexuality, nor their religion should stop them from seeking a start to building a family, and an adoption center must not hinder children away from their right to happiness. That is why I have chosen to endorse Blue Senate Bill 20-1-7, which protects the right of LGBTQ couples to adopt, as well as Blue House Bill 20-2-19, which will remove government funding from adoption agencies that continue to discriminate against prospective adoptive parents. Given that the Tennessee has one of the fastest growing tourism centers in the country, fostering businesses and supporting this sector have been a top priority as well. My administration has chosen to endorse and sign White House Bill 20-3-20, which will both protect sex workers by legalizing their trade and by gaining revenue from the taxes imposed. Unlegalized sex work can be incredibly dangerous as there is no way to report abuse. This will also decrease human trafficking in Tennessee, which is rising rapidly in the state. By being the second state in the nation to legalize and tax sex work, we become leaders both in worker safety and in the industry. However, it is evident that the policy we have previously discussed will be obsolete if our current voter turnout and voting policies remain the same. Without civic engagement, it is impossible for a government to truly fix any issue and reflect the Tennesseans' voices. While we have made great strides in developing Tennessee, voter turnout remains dismal at best. As of 2018, Tennessee ranked 50th in voter turnout and 49th in voter registration, and it is our duty to encourage people to go out to voice their opinions through casting votes. The first step is automatic voter registration. To ensure this, my administration has endorsed Blue Senate Bill 20-2-6, ensuring every Tennessean is automatically registered to vote. However, even if they are registered, our citizens cannot vote if they are preoccupied with work and school. My administration has further collaborated with White House Bill 20-1-18 to remove Confederate holidays from our state calendar and replace them with the statewide Election Day holiday. Finally, to ensure the security of our voting system, we have endorsed White Senate Bill 20-2-3, a bill that employs paper receipts to make sure every vote is counted correctly. Improve Tennessee's today for a better tomorrow. Last year, I uttered these 7 words repeatedly throughout that week, and I can say with certainty that those words became a reality this week. My cabinet members have worked diligently to ensure that we would build on many past efforts to make Tennessee a better place, a state that continues the long tradition of vital changes. I hope these endorsements and bills we have signed into laws show how we have overcome our challenges and pushed the bounds to create real changes. At last, I'd like to thank our governor cabinet members for their hard work this week. You all have allowed both Mark and I to navigate through this unique experience and also have fun on the way. I would also like to thank Governor Hancock for being an extraordinary co-leader. Our joint governor's session will be the ones to remember. Thank you, Yoshi and Sam, my Chief of Staff and Red Lieutenant Governor. From being 3 freshmen, cluelessly walking around the hallway and being lost, to leading each component, I couldn't be more proud of you guys. I'd like to thank our parliamentarian and also my advisor, Mr. Luffman, for pushing me to run for governor. Thank you for sending all the memes on the group chat and correcting our mistakes on parliamentary procedures, allowing us to become better officers. Elise, Susan, and Tyler, I don't know where to begin. Thank you all for allowing us to have this conference and being there for us as the three mama bears. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have been able to done it without you guys. And most importantly, thank each and one of you. I thank you for joining us for a conference with uncertainty. Looking at you and the ideas you guys have presented, I leave this conference knowing that it is in good hands. In freshman year, I spontaneously decided to join this program because I wanted to wear suits and stay in the hotel for about 3 or 4 days. And ever since, I've come to love it with all my whole heart. Youth in government has not only allowed me to learn about various aspects about our government system and have distinct outlooks on democracy, but it has also empowered me to grow as an individual. I remember being a newbie to the conference, waiting for Governor Ree to endorse my first bill, and I wouldn't have possibly imagined that I would be the one to endorse awe-inspiring bills this year. So thank you all for your belief in me and casting a vote for me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to become your governor. Thank you, and God bless the state of Tennessee.
Good afternoon. I am pleased to welcome representatives, senators, justices, lobbyists, and press corps members to this joint closing ceremony. As we come to a close for this week, I would like to thank each and every one of you for logging on with us for the first ever virtual Zoom in Government conference. I know that many of you were uncertain on how this week could play out, but I could not be more proud of the discussions that took place and work that all of you have done. I hope that all of you were able to push your bounds this week and that you strive to discuss the difficult topics, to dig deeper than just the surface, and to find the solutions to the problems plaguing us today. The state of Tennessee is strong, but together we can build an even better future for our state. Many of you from last year will remember my slogan, getting Tennesseans what they deserve. Since last year, I have been dedicated to fixing our state's environment, education, healthcare, and infrastructure. This past week, my administration worked tirelessly to remember this slogan in every decision that we made in order to strive for a better Tennessee. It is my sincere hope that through the bills my administration passed, our state will be paving a brighter path for the future ahead of us. Tennessee deserves legislation to promote environmental conservation. To help preserve our state's beautiful environment, my administration has taken steps to ensure that we protect Tennessee. One of the greatest ways we can help reduce and mitigate effects of pollution and climate change on our state is to set regulation on businesses, specifically large corporations that often contribute to a large part of our air and water pollution. Therefore, I would like to endorse White House Bill 20-3-9, as this bill requires large businesses to attain an LEED Silver certification, ensuring that their facilities are sustainable for years to come. My administration has also created the Holston River Watershed Authority, which aims to mitigate pollution levels in the Holston River watershed. With the help of these initiatives, my administration is taking steps to making Tennessee a greener state with cleaner air, healthier ecosystems, and a smaller carbon footprint. Tennessee is known to constantly fall short when it comes to meeting education standards. Countless times, schools are neglected and are left to cut necessary programs. However, for every additional dollar that is invested in schools, there is a return on investment of $2 in additional future earnings by that student. Increasing per pupil spending for children from low-income families is also large enough to eliminate the education gap between children from low-income and non-poor families. That is why my cabinet members and I have increased the budget of the Tennessee Department of Education by $700 million. Additionally, our state's public university systems are highly valued by myself and my cabinet. However, DACA recipients who illegally immigrated to this country as children are excluded from in-state tuition to our public universities. That is why we are endorsing White Senate Bill 20-3-2 to extend in-state tuition to DACA recipients. Our administration believes that we should extend in-state tuition to Dreamers and that they should not be treated differently from any other student in Tennessee. Next, the closing of small-scale hospitals has been a significant issue within our state for years. These small-scale hospitals provide resources and care for thousands of people. Without the existence of these hospitals, many Tennesseans are forced to drive up to 60 minutes for health care. However, in times of emergency, many residents find that this distance is too far to receive adequate care in time. To help combat this issue, my administration has chosen to endorse Red Senate Bill 20-2-5. Last year, I promised that each of you that all Tennesseans would finally have access to proper health care. This bill takes the first step to finally address our state's dire healthcare crisis. Considering that Tennessee already has one of the most extensive highway systems in the country, my administration and I had decided to allocate half, or $500 million, of the Highway Construction Fund to public transportation. Public transportation has become a dire need when addressing Tennessee's growing cities. However, highway construction still needs some funding because the Tennessee Department of Transportation helps local governments build roads. With the allocated money, we hope to improve the lifestyle of every Tennessean. Moving along, in order to focus on our ever-growing state, my administration and I have decided to focus on increasing the amount of money generated from tax revenue. Given that the state of Tennessee has the 7th lowest cigarette tax in the entire country, it is clear that establishing excess taxes will be the appropriate response to generate further tax revenue. That is why we have chosen to endorse Red Senate Bill 20-2-11. This bill provides a comprehensive plan to generate an additional $267 million by raising the sales tax of all cigarette products. With the inclusion of legislation such as this, we are ensuring that the constantly evolving needs of our state are being met by increasing the total funds available for program maintenance and expansion as a whole. Lastly, the goal of human services is to prevent, remediate, and regulate issues. Currently, Tennessee is ranked number 42 of the best places for members in the LGBTQIA+ community to reside in or visit. A person's harmless way of life should not determine their value as a human being. This is why the Governor's Cabinet and I have decided to endorse White House Bill 20-1-11. The current law in Tennessee allows mental health professionals to refuse citizens treatment if their livelihood does not align with their values. This bill will require all therapists and counselors to treat anyone in need regardless of race, beliefs, and/or lifestyles. My cabinet and I are also alarmed by the fact that 40% of women in Tennessee experience assault by their partner in their lifetime. The National Conference of State Legislatures also reports that in the past 20 years, there has been between 17,000 and 32,000 rape-related pregnancies. Only 32 states allow complete cancellation of parental rights for the offender. Not only are these women traumatized beyond belief, but they now must care for and raise a child that resulted from this experience. That is why my Governor's Cabinet and I have endorsed Red House Bill 20-2-2. This bill will allow victims to request child support without providing visitation or parental rights. It is my hope that by explaining everything that my administration has worked towards this week, you will realize that the state of Tennessee is in good hands. Before I end, I'd like to thank my entire Governor's Cabinet for all their hard work they've put in this week. Each of you has helped guide me throughout this week, and I appreciate everything you've done. I would also like to thank my fellow governor, Governor Kim, for her work this week. Unlike previous governors, we weren't able to have the opportunity to get to know each other through the annual YMCA Advocacy DC trip. However, despite this, we were able to lead the first ever joint GovCab together and pass historical legislation. And lastly, I would like to thank Susan, Elise, and Tyler for everything they've done. The three of them are some of the most hardworking people I know, and I would not be the person I am today without them. They constantly work to make sure that our conferences are the best that they can be, and they deserve tremendous thanks. After 7 years of participating in the CCE, I'm extremely sad to have to say goodbye, but I could not be more thankful for the friends and memories I have made. When I wrote my first speech about pineapples, I had no idea that I would end up in this position. Thank you all for putting your trust in me and for voting for me to be your governor. It will forever be one of the biggest honors of my life. Thank you, and God bless the great state of Tennessee.
Before we announce our conference awards, we would like to recognize the outstanding achievements of our GovCab, lobbyists, and press corps. Our small but mighty press corps has worked tirelessly all week, writing articles about current events and happenings at ZIG, utilizing social media, and coordinating information to keep everyone at ZIG engaged and informed. Press corps, thank you for your efforts. Our lobbyists spent the week focusing on education, gender equality, women's health, and the environment. They collaborated with floor leaders in our components to research bills and were able to successfully advance their preferred legislation to the plenary session. The governor's cabinet has spent the week actively discussing and debating each piece of legislation that came across the desk, communicating with legislators about different bills, and interviewing with the press. We'd like to thank Governors Kim and Hancock for collaborating as a joint administration and working so well as a team. The GovCab endorsed 14 bills from different departments and drafted an extensive budget for the state. And now the awards in our Dorota Supreme Court. Outstanding Novice goes to Laura Vega from John Overton. The honorable mention goes to Daniel Chen and Tricia Mezumdar from Ravenwood. And the winner of the final case, Melanie York and Will Schuessler from Hillsborough and MUS. Congratulations. Next, our legislative awards for Outstanding Statesperson. Delegates are considered for Outstanding Statesperson based on the following criteria: cooperative and respectful in their approach to legislation and peers, use of proper parliamentary procedure, positive attitude, excellent communication, leadership by example with regard to conference rules and regulations, and behavior in keeping with the YMCA core values of honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility. Today, we'll be recognizing 10 outstanding statespersons. Max Olino, Brentwood High School. Erica Friedman, USN. Parth Mishra, MUS. David Sakov, MLK. Kyan Ramsey, MUS. Daniel Schmidt, Beach. Lucas Moto, Ravenwood. Michaela Webb, Hardin Valley. Shreya Chintalapudi, Webb, and Jorge Akita Sanchez from Summit. Congratulations, outstanding statespersons.
Before we announce next year's officers, we want to say a huge thank you to all the officers who served during ZIG. Like Susan said earlier, we know this wasn't the officer experience you expected, but you are the reason ZIG was a huge success. Thank you for being servant leaders and showing all the delegates what it means to put others first and what it means to embody the YMCA core values of honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility. First, I will announce the TriStar officers, and then I will announce the volunteer officers. Your TriStar officers in the Red House. Speaker of the House, Dea Rasool. Speaker Pro Temp of the House, Sonia Sravastava. Floor Leader of the Red House, Trista Brantley. Red House Sergeant at Arms, Ame Farah. The TriStar Red Senate officers, Lieutenant Governor Matthew Shipley. Speaker Pro Temp, Yenny Gonzalez Salinas. Floor Leader, Erica Friedman. Your TriStar White House officers, Speaker of the White House, Griffin Hood. White House Clerk, Edith McClure, and Chief Engrossing Clerk, Parth Mishra. Your White Senate officers, Lieutenant Governor Anissa Youssef, Speaker Pro Temp, Olivia Felker, Floor Leader, Philip Egan, and White Senate Clerk, Eden Zekwat. Your Blue House officers, Speaker of the House, Saumaya Sethil Kumar. Floor Leader of the Blue House, Alora Young. Your Blue Senate officers, Lieutenant Governor Heba Ali. Speaker Pro Temp, Chris Yarbrough. Floor Leader of the Blue Senate, Lydia West. And Blue Senate Clerk, Kyan Ramsey.
Your Supreme Court officers, Chief Justice Tessa Bentley. Associate Justices, Ria Narayan, Laura Isaacs, Fawaz Omer, Will Schuessler, Ome Kerr, and your Attorney General, Harmon Colvett.
In the press corps, your press managing editor is Mary Singh, and your social media editor is Misha White. Congratulations to our 2021 Governor, Ansley Skipper. Next are volunteer officers. The Red House officers. Speaker of the House, Michaela Webb. Speaker Pro Temp, Leigh Hanna. Floor Leader, Jackson Peden. Chief Engrossing Clerk, Hadia Kruger. The Red Senate. Lieutenant Governor Angel Chong. Speaker Pro Temp, Lauren Link. Red Senate Clerk, Reva Jethwani. Red Senate Sergeant at Arms, Lauren Bender. Your White House officers. Speaker of the House, Zoe Frassinelli. Chief Engrossing Clerk, Anna Huber. Your White Senate officers. Lieutenant Governor Baker Sullivan. White Senate Clerk, Hannah Brooks. Your Blue House officers. Speaker of the House, Aaron Chadha. Speaker Pro Temp of the House, Serenity Garrison. Floor Leader, Paige Jarrett. And Blue House Clerk, Reed Grizzle. Your Blue Senate officers. Lieutenant Governor
Brithwick Nyarandas.
Speaker Pro Temp, Stefan Steger. Floor Leader of the Blue Senate, Sahil Sankar. And Blue Senate Clerk, Alexandra McLaren. Your Blue Senate Sergeant at Arms, Kaylin Schaefer.
Your Supreme Court officers. Chief Justice Taylor Schneider. Associate Justices Daniel Chen, Tricia Mazumdar, William Feichtel, Milind Natraj Muthia, and Saya Palmer. Your Attorney General Ryan Gibbons, Solicitor General Saljana Dalai, and your Clerk of the Court Grace Terrio.
In the lobbyist component, your head lobbyist is Sophia Chang. In the press corps, your press managing editor is Owen Hewitt. Congratulations to the 2021 Governor, Jackson Hoppy.
Congratulations to all our newly elected officers. Make sure you check your email later today for your new officer packet so that you can get it filled out and turned in, which is your first task as a new CCE officer. If you were not selected as an officer for 2021, you should still check your email later today because we have a few open offices to fill. Thank you very much.
Seeing that there is nothing further for the good of the order, and the 67th Annual Tennessee YMCA Youth and Government ZIG Conference has successfully completed its business, I move that the joint session of the 67th Annual YMCA Youth and Government Conference adjourn sine die.
That motion to adjourn sine die is in order. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
That motion, having been being properly seconded, will now be attempted to be passed by voice acclamation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
In the ears of the chair, the ayes do have it. I hereby declare the joint session of the 67th Annual Tennessee YMCA Youth and Government ZIG Conference adjourned. Sine die.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.